All right, everyone, welcome to this bonus episode of Not a Strong Start. So we had the Super Bowl this Sunday that just happened, and while people like to talk about the game or the commercials, we want to talk about the movie trailers that came out on Super Bowl day because that's one of the things that we look forward to on top of the other things.
It's always been about the commercials, right? Hasn't it?
For most
Kind
people,
of.
it is. Yeah. I I would say like out of the 100% of the people that watch the Super Bowl, maybe about 70% are actually there for the game. And then the other 30% are strictly there for the halftime show and the commercials and don't know a clue about what's happening in the
Right.
game.
Yeah.
But it's the perfect opportunity because there's so many eyes on there watching the Super Bowl. It's on the free channel. It's on CBS, so pretty much everyone can have access to it. All you need is a TV and a hanger, and you can watch it. So they take advantage, and that's why it's so expensive to put in the commercials at that point or to drop movie trailers during that time because it's a great way to get as many eyes as possible because there's rarely any other events that gets as many eyes in one day or one evening as the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's the best exposure you're gonna get all year, honestly.
Exactly. And with that being said, I said let's just jump right into a list. We wanted to talk about some of the trailers that came out during the Super Bowl. There was some teasers that says trailer out today, go check it out. So we'll be talking more about the trailer that actually released on the day, even though the teaser is what showed during the commercial.
Hey everyone, let's take a moment to talk about where I've been getting these new Not a Strong Start t-shirts from. Head on over to itsnas.threadless.com, the only place where you can get Not a Strong Start merch, whether it's our newly designed mascot or just your favorite movie logo now with some Nas flair. You can rep your Nas love on tee, hoodie, mug, rug, and so much more. And from now to the 20th of February, select t-shirts will be on sale for $15. So get yours today. Just click on that link below and have yourself a strong start and not a strong, have a not a strong start, have a start that's strong, but not so strong. You know what to do.
So let's get right into it with Quiet Place Day One. George, we'll start with you. What was your thoughts on the Quiet Place Day One trailer?
Definitely feels action packed. I'm a little curious to see how they're going to handle this one because the first two led by John Krasinski as a director writer, and I mean Blunt as definitely the big star in a film. Those films shined so much, and then the way they were handled with the family aspect, the sound direction, everything about it was really well done. Without having those dynamics in this one, I'm curious to see how this will hold its own and maybe even add to the lore of these alien creatures. But definitely looked like it was high intensity, nonstop action as compared to like the other two, where it's more of like slow paced and builds up on that tension of the
Mhm.
beasts that are coming after them.
No, and I agree you 100%. The notes that I had put for the trailer was first of all, new place, new people, big city. So we're changing the environment, we're changing the people, and we're changing the location. So that right there, you're giving me something that's different from the original two. From what I got from the trailer is we're gonna get way more chaos than we did with the other movies. And I think a big part of that is, as we're noticing in this trailer, is people don't know the rules yet. They don't know the rules of engagement when it comes to these aliens. So, what's people's first reaction when they see something that they're scared of or something that's danger? They scream, they yell, and that's as we know the thing you don't do with these
Yeah.
aliens. So that's going to create so much chaos. I am curious to see how they adjust, like how natural they write the adjustment of like, wait a second, is it sound that attracts them? I don't want it to be someone just like, you know what, I think it's sound, but there's no transition into them figuring that out. So I think, yeah, the chaos is going to be higher. Like you said, excitement's going to be higher. The kill count, you can tell, is going to be
Oh yeah.
way higher. In just that, like 3 seconds towards the end of the trailer, you probably see more of the aliens there than you did in the first movie put together. Just in those like 3 seconds when they're coming down the side of the skyscraper
Yeah.
into the glass. So it will be very curious to see with the city element when they're using big buildings, maybe subways, like how these aliens are getting to them, how they're hiding. So that was what I got from that the little bit in the trailer.
Yeah, for sure. And I also, because it's a day one situation, it's first contact, I'm expecting no survivors. Like in the sense of like our main characters. Like I'm already preparing myself. Don't get attached to anybody because this is the beginning. They all could be dead by the time we get to like the Krasinski Emily Blunt period of time. You know what I mean? Which I kind of like
That
that. I like that. Yeah, no one can make it through this.
that is really true. And then I mean, they're already starting strong with the cast. Seeing Lupita in there already, I was like, okay, I'm in. And the other actor that I always butcher the name of. So
Jimon Hussein, right, or something like that. I mess it up too.
yes,
I
I
have
always mess it up.
yeah.
But two, two actors that, uh, they always shine on the screen. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do within this world. But yeah, that was our first one. Anything else on that one before we go to the next trailer?
I guess real quick shout out to the kid who's from Stranger Things. I can't remember his name in the Stranger Things show, but he was Eddie. I think it was Eddie, the one who died trying to fight off all of like the crazy bat things with the guitar
Oh
solo and stuff.
yeah,
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 like he's
badass
making an
scene.
appearance in there too.
Oh, good, good. He was really good in that one. Like he showed really good charisma and screen presence in
Yeah,
that one. So I have wanted to see him in other things also.
yeah, he looks like he's gonna have a decent part in this movie. At least from what I saw in the trailer, he could easily die 2/3, whatever.
Another trailer that we had here is Wicked. I'm gonna be straight. I've never seen any iteration of Wicked at all. I know it's connected to The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It's a prequel, right?
Yes.
Like a
Yes.
pre-story.
Yeah.
So I know that aspect. I've never watched on stage or any iteration. I don't even know if there is another iteration on screen of it. I know
This is the
definitely
first
on
live
stage.
action movie version of it. It's generally always been a stage production.
Okay,
Yeah.
those I always missed it. Even when we were in high school, they did that one after we were gone.
Yeah.
It didn't really grab my attention. I'm not type even with the Wizard of Oz. I saw it a couple times when I was a kid. I respect it for what it is, but I never had the desire to watch it. So this
Yeah.
one didn't really intrigue me. What were your thoughts on this one?
I've actually always wanted to see Wicked. I've never had the chance to see it. I like the idea of the story of the good witch and the bad witch, and seeing that the bad witch wasn't always bad. Like we're seeing how she became the bad witch, and so I think that could be an interesting story. It's always done well. Anytime that they bring it to Broadway, it sells out. It's amazing as hell. It has two great singers in it, so I'm kind of interested in it. But I like The Wizard of Oz. I've always liked The Wizard of Oz, so I'll probably wait for it to come on some streaming service, watch it by myself, because the missus will not watch a musical with me. It looks, pretty colorful, lots of like cool set pieces and stuff.
And that's what I was gonna say. Based just on the trailer alone, it looks aesthetically pleasing,
Yeah,
very, very bright. They're leaning a lot into the fantasy aspect of it and increasing the fantasy scope. I think at least on that part, that was well done. Again, story-wise, I don't know really much about the dynamic of it.
I will say I think Kevin Ariana Grande as the Good Witch, they may have nailed it with that casting just because of her voice. I think if like the original Wizard of Oz, there's a certain pitch to how that character spoke. And it's like, yeah, she's the one. That's the pitch that you need for that character. It's her. She already has that soft like kind of sound. All right, I'm ready for it.
I do know of a lot of people who enjoy that world, The Wizard of Oz and Wicked, so I feel has a potential to do well.
Yeah.
And then it's one and it's weird. Again, we talked about this in one of our other episodes with the trailers for Willy Wonka and for Mean Girls. They don't advertise it as a musical. Yeah,
The
you
singing.
you
There's no singing
yeah,
in the
there's
trailer.
no
Yeah.
singing in it, and it's like, okay, if you come from a theater background or you go to watch plays and things that you already know it's a musical.
Yeah.
Like Willy Wonka, you know it's a musical already. Mean Girls did not expect that.
Yeah.
Even though it is like a musical itself on stage, but it's weird that they're doing that now and they're not really putting it out there. It's like they're gonna figure it out
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
get to the theater. So you prefer them to be even more unhappy if they go in and they're like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah,
This is the type of movie that is gonna gravitate to the fans, like the stage fans, the
for sure.
theater fans, people who have followed it, people who are fans of The Wizard of Oz, and they probably already know it's a musical, so why hide it in your trailer? Like, it just seems a little sneaky to try to pull in outside people into there.
I could kind of see that and get that. I think for me, like Wizard of Oz has already been represented as a musical. Like there's loads of songs in the original one. I think most people, kind of like with Hamilton, like no one's was watching going into Hamilton being like, "Oh, what? There's rapping and singing." I think Wicked has that kind of notoriety already. People are aware like there's going to be music in this. It's going to happen because that's been the hubbub for this thing. Like right now, I think Wayne Brady is in the current iteration on Broadway. So I don't think it's going to have the same thing like Mean Girls had where the people are going to be like, "What the hell? Singing?" you know.
Yeah.
But I think that's a part of the strategy. I think the marketing strategy is like, we're gonna get those people who probably thought they didn't like musicals, and we're gonna have this pop sensation in there, and that's gonna reel them. Be like, oh, I like Ariana Grande. Okay, maybe I'll give musicals a chance then. Okay, I'm surprised, but let's do this. I think that's their kind of tactic. They're hoping for to kind of convert some people over. Kind of like how
I'll tell
Moulin
you
Rouge
that.
did for people.
I'll tell you that would not work on me. Even if I go in there and it's well done and everything, I would be so upset the fact that I will feel lied to that I would automatically dislike it. I would not give it a chance. I'm shutting down. I'm shutting down because you lied to me. Because it can be the best thing in the world, but it was like you got me here through conniving tactics.
Jose's just in the audience, son of a.
The next one we have The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is a sequel to the Matt Reeves trilogy that we got, but I believe this is going to take place maybe like over 100 years from the time of like Caesar.
Yeah,
So at this point, at least from what we got from the trailer itself, it looks like it's a world where the apes have become the dominant oppressors and humans have become the defenseless animals. Pretty much a PETA wet dream at this point. So, humans are like we saw with the old original ones, their language is gone. Their level of intelligence has been like lowered and things like that. So it's complete like reversal of everything. Um I watching the trailer though, there's one question that was like lingering in my mind as I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, so it's been like a century. They can obviously all talk now. Like all of the apes can talk. Why are they still using sign language? They can hear, they can talk. Like
uh,
it just seems like extra effort. And that was on my mind the entire trailer when they're like talking and using the sign language.
See, for me, what I couldn't grasp is like, let's say it's been like a couple hundred years, right? How did humans forget how to talk? You know what I mean? Like, maybe one of the characters, like maybe the main girl who's from The Witcher, maybe she said something in English and I didn't get to notice it because it's so fast. But like you said, like they've kind of regressed. It's like enough time didn't pass for humans to regress that bad, especially if they're surrounded by apes that speak English. Right? It doesn't correlate well to me, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think we need like a good like 1,000 years for like that kind of loss to happen. But I agree, yeah, the sign language thing, it's like, is it in your DNA now? Like you guys are just
Yeah.
born like,
They're they're all Italian. They all talk with their
Yeah.
hands. Now all the apes. No, but that is a good point. And I we don't know, at least I don't know the exact time frame after.
I
I
couldn't find
heard
anything myself,
it's
yeah.
gonna be about 100 years, but it might be way longer. But yeah, it should be longer to have a complete like de-evolution of language overall. Because at least in the trailer, we didn't see the humans say a word, or I might have missed it.
Yeah, I think it
But
may have been so quick. They're so focused on having the apes speak. I didn't really see much communication amongst the humans besides running.
yeah. So we'll see. I am excited for it, although I enjoyed Matt Reeves' trilogy, and even though this isn't Matt Reeves, I enjoyed the world that he created. So
Yeah.
hopefully, they do well by that world and kind of keep the same quality. I'm intrigued so far from what I saw in the trailer. But let's see this new vision, this new direction that we get with the new director.
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing like how they steered so far away from Caesar's like, the leader Caesar and his vision. Because with how the Reeves trilogy ended, he was still in charge. He was still the moral compass of the apes. So I'm very curious to see how that just like went away and there's new leadership was just like, yeah, forget whatever he said. We're like tyrants now, kind of thing. Or if there's even like different factions of apes and maybe this little faction has just gone its own way,
They would have to be. There's no way one ape is ruling all the apes in the
right?
world
Yeah, yeah.
at this point. And it has to be all the apes in the world that are like in charge, because if not, humans from other countries would be like, well, it looks like the US is up for grabs and they're coming over here. So
Yeah,
it has to be the whole world that's here. Uh, so there'll have to be different, at least realistically, there'll have to be different factions. There's
yeah,
no way you're having one ape rule the entire world, especially if they don't have like phones or, FaceTime or
yeah,
planes or anything
yeah. Because
like
as we've
that.
established, there's no technology anymore. Like
Yeah.
modern technology is now gone.
Going to the next one that this was the biggest surprise for me. I hadn't heard anything about this before. So when it popped up, I'm like, is and that's Twisters, the
Oh
sequel
yeah, I
to
heard
Twister.
whispers of this movie like for the past like couple decades, and I kind of forgot about it, and it just came out of nowhere.
They're like, we're still here.
Yeah,
Uh, so that was a big surprise, and I don't know, maybe because Emmerich doesn't do too much anyway, but we don't get a lot of disaster films
yeah,
anymore. When I saw this, I'm like, oh, okay, disaster movie or stuff. Here we go. But it was Twister. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell. One of the things that disappointed me about the trailer, not one flying cow. And I'm like, are you really Twister? If anything, you should up the ante. We should have like three flying cows or
right.
something
It's
to
because it's
show. Like,
twisters. I had two twisters coming together to meet. You know what I want to see? One twister's bringing the cows. The next twister's bringing the chocolate milk. All right.
that's how it
Like you see
happens.
like a chocolate refinery just being blown up in the air and a cow. It writes itself. Come on, guys.
And that's how we get chocolate milk. There you go. A little science lesson for
Yeah.
everyone. It seemed from the trailer the tornadoes have powered up from the original one, but so have the humans. You saw all this like new tech that you got in there to fight, including these little micro drones that look like something from Stark Tech.
Well,
In
do you
there,
know
they're
what?
supposed to
Do you remember
kill
part
off the
one?
tornado.
Do-
Yeah,
those were in part one.
the little drones.
Well, those little like little balls, right? You talking about
Yeah,
those? Yeah, in part one,
yeah, the ones that are flying in the air.
they crafted those in part one. I think they were using like soda cans or whatever to like kind of make them. Like they were like MacGyvered in part one.
Yeah,
Now whoever is existing now took that tech and upgraded it.
yeah, that's
So
what I'm saying. They
I thought
they
that was a nice
powered up.
little like Easter egg from like the original one.
It looks like it's gonna be a fun adventure. It's a disaster movie, so we can't expect, Oscar-worthy
Performances.
performances.
Yeah.
Yeah, or perfect writing or anything. You watch this movie just to see pure chaos, destruction, and people trying to survive the destruction. That's what disaster movies are for.
Yeah.
Uh, in this, from what I saw in the trailer, it's giving me what I expect from this type of movie.
Yeah, same. Like this looks like a good joyride. If they do it right, just like the first Twister, it'd be a nice joyride just to turn your brain off for a second and just have a good time.
I do want more because of the first one, some of it might have been inadvertent, but there was a little humor to it, a little
Oh yeah.
fun to it. So they need to incorporate it into this one. I hope it doesn't take itself too serious.
I think one of the main characters, I can't remember his name. He's a very new actor, very fresh. He was in Top Gun. He was the one who ends up saving them at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, like he looks like he's going to be the one who brings in that charisma and some of that kind of like humor into the thing because you see like he looks almost like a social media kind of like flashy guy. He's not taking
Yeah.
these twisters too seriously because he's kind of showboating off of them. So I think he's
You
gonna give us that.
yeah, it looks like he's having it like a tourist attraction. Like,
Yeah,
"You wanna see a
yeah,
tornado? Come on,
yeah.
I'll
He's
show you
like
the
he's just
inside
kind
of
of
a
like riding it.
tornado."
Yeah,
We also have, uh, the new Michael Peña, as in the new
yeah, yeah,
Hispanic
yeah,
that's
yeah.
showing up and everything. So
Yo, he's
he's
killing
in
it
it
though.
too. Oh, he is. I have no problem with it at all. But
Yeah,
it's
and
just that
he's fellow
with
Ramos.
Hollywood, yeah, when Hollywood, picks an actor of a minority class that they like, he's gonna be in everything.
Yeah,
And it was Michael Peña before, now it's him. He's gonna be in everything until they find a new Hispanic to replace him. Before we get to our last one, because that's probably the one that we're gonna spend the most time talking on,
yeah,
we did want to throw in a little special mention here because the trailer was actually released, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, a week and a week and a half ago,
yeah.
but they did a TV teaser trailer for the Super Bowl, and that is Monkey Man. So they gave a nice like 30-second teaser. We recommend checking out the full length trailer, which came out again like a week or two ago. Man, I was this got me pumped. This
So
got me
much. Yeah.
so pumped.
People online have been talking about this movie and saying it's like, oh, it's just he's just doing a John Wick. And you know what? I'm not mad about that whatsoever. Dev Patel, become John Wick for India. Do it. I don't care. It looks so
Yeah,
freaking good.
I have no problem with replicating something that works as long as you also make it work and you throw in some unique twists
Yeah.
going through it. And then here, yes, the actions and fight choreography seems very John Wick. So it seems like they definitely looked at that and they replicated that. Um, but it can get unique with the story aspect of it and
Yeah.
the character development. Because it's be serious with the story of John Wick, it's the lore of what is happening in that world with this organization. That's the part of the story that's very intriguing. Not so much John Wick's journey itself. That is very simple. They took out his dog. He goes out for revenge. They mess up his car. He goes out for revenge. Now he's stuck in this world where he has to keep avenging
Yeah.
type stuff. Very simplistic on his story. It's the lore of everything else of the world that keeps you, entangled in that. Here we have the possibility of actually following a very intriguing story by the main character, and that's what could differentiate it from John Wick.
Yeah, I think the character that Dev is playing has much deeper motives as opposed to a dead dog and stolen car. Granted, the catalyst of the dead dog does have a deeper meaning for John Wick, but for this, like we already know from the big trailer, it's family related. Like it has to do with his mother and everything like that. Like and the possibility that the big head honcho could be a father figure of some sorts turned bad or whatever. That's way deeper than a dog, you know. And granted, I love dogs. Dogs are great. But like your mom, your mom trumps your dog. I'm sorry. You
Yeah.
know. And I think just like some of the fight scenes and the camera angles that because Dev Patel, this is his first time directing, I believe, also
Mhm.
like writing,
Yeah.
directing, starring. This is a big deal for him. And some of the camera angles of how the fight scenes were done and how it moved with everything, I think it looked pretty good and a little different from how John Wick is handled. Like similar in a visual standpoint of just on paper, and just even how he looks, how he's dressed. But certain things within that kitchen fight scene, it's like, all right, that's a little different. Like he's handling things in a little different way. I think we're also going to get a little more culture with like the Indian background. That whole setting is going to give us a whole other kind of feeling.
Oh yeah, we'll probably get lower. I mean, the whole, him donning the monkey mask and the hint in the trailer that does have to do with some cultural lore,
Yeah.
and it's the reason why he wears it, which we should hopefully find out more during the movie. But I did want to touch on the sequences that we do see during the trailer. I think one of the things is Dev Patel just looks smooth in this one. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you'll have people try to do action movies or just action within movies, and it just looks awkward or overly choreographed. But it seems natural for him. And I know he has a background in martial arts and he's been trying, to represent it in the movie. So he was like, I'm gonna do my own
Yeah.
aspect, but it looks so smooth and natural. I think the other day I was scrolling through, I think it was like Amazon Prime, or something just to try to find a movie, or it might have been Netflix. Try to find a movie, and you know how it automatically plays a scene of something when you're
Yeah.
hovering over it? Well, there was this like Vince Vaughn movie where he's like a prisoner and he's like bald
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
this
They're
like
talking
to
about.
security. And the scene is him, he ends up beating all three of them up. And it is the slowest, unbelievable beatdown. It looks so awkward that it was like, this is what you pick to sell this movie to someone who's scrolling through. And then here you have with Patel where it just looks really fluid and natural when he's fighting.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that was what sold me too. 'Cause I was like, oh no, I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's gonna handle this fine. The haters are gonna recognize they got true talent coming to the screen with this one.
Okay. I'm excited. There's only one movie other than that had me more excited. That's the next one that we're gonna talk about. Deadpool and Wolverine, which we got the
Yes.
little. This is one of the ones that was like, check out the full trailer. And that is what I did during the next commercial break right away. It was like, all right, I'm not
I'll
even
do
gonna
that.
wait until after the game to watch it. Right away you can see the links to the MCU,
Oh yeah.
and the connection with Loki. We have the TVA show up right at the start of the trailer. It seems like this takes place after the events of Loki because we don't have the Morbius character. Seems like someone else is in charge doing the interview,
Yeah.
and that's what Morbius did during the show. So I'm glad they're sticking to what ended at the end of Loki, which we won't reveal
Yeah.
here.
At least that's the assumption
Uh,
right now, because they've been really vague
yes,
about the timeline of this movie of when it could either be before or after, because Wolverine is in it after all, and in his timeline he is dead supposedly. But it definitely
that
seems like
is
it could be
true.
after the Loki events.
Yeah. Now they don't give you much information on the actual conflict that's happening. Just that the TVA needs them for a mission. But in the trailer, that doesn't seem to last too long because a few seconds later, you see him actually fighting and destroying members of
Yeah.
the TVA. But what the actual conflict, like, what does he need to do? It's very vague, which I'm glad. I'm happy they
Yeah.
didn't give up too much of that information. Um, what made me happy is the action, the violence looked to be on par with what we got in the other Deadpools, which again, until I actually watched the movie, there's still this part of me that says this is Disney. They're gonna tone it down. What did you catch from the trailer that really caught your eye?
So there's a good like two, three things that jumped out at me immediately. One was during the fight scene, like with a kind of out like in a deserty kind of area, there was
Mhm.
the 20th Century Fox logo on the ground. And so there was that. I was like Fox, the destruction of Fox. Plus that tagged on with how many times he was talking about saving Disney Marvel. Like that, I love that they're still sticking with breaking that fourth wall. And he's like, it's almost like they're fully aware. It's like, yeah, we need Deadpool because we're not doing good right now. He's the one. He is the savior. So I loved all that. The return of Pyro. I don't know if anyone noticed that
Yes,
Pyro from the
yes,
original
for
X2 and
yeah.
X3. So he looks like he's gonna be a threat in some way there.
I think that was a hint at, look, we're gonna have some of the original X-Men,
Yeah.
but we don't want to reveal them all. We'll give you Pyro right now and just
Yeah.
kind of
And
chew
that's
on
only for
that.
people who are like really like paid attention. Like I think for
Yeah.
newbies of today who didn't grow up with it, they're not gonna realize who the hell that is because he didn't use his powers. He was just there, really. And then another one, this is a guess. I'm guessing that in one of the scenes you saw someone kind of in the distance with like a gun and they're like shrouded. I think they could be another kind of like comic book character called the Executioner. So it's from like
Mhm.
the 90s days of the comic books where like there's a character who was pretty much like trying to kill off X-Men characters. So
Is
I feel
that
like
when you had the car, the thing that opened up looking like a satellite, like a circle, and there was someone there with a hoodie,
and a gun.
with a gun? Yeah.
I think so, that may have been it. But yeah, it was around the same time stamp where you saw Pyro around that because they're both
Mhm.
also with Pyro, I think, in that same scene. So yeah, I think that could be that character. And if they say it is that character, it's such a like a minuscule character. They didn't last long in the comic books,
Mhm.
but they were trying to kill mutants. So if you have like this character that's trying to kill off mutants, get Deadpool to go kill them then, right? Get the merc with the mouth. So I think that could be my guesstimate of like what's happening in the movie as of right now.
Watch this trailer more than once because this is the
Yeah,
type of
yeah.
trailer that you have to try to pay attention to everything. So I'm like, I'm gonna watch it just this time only looking at the left side. Then I'm only gonna
Yeah,
look at the
yeah.
middle. Then I'm gonna look at the foreground. So there was a few things. So the 20th Century Fox side, but there was also other things in the background. There was I think a Quinjet in the back, or no, the helicarrier in the back, like in the
Oh,
sands
destroyed, right?
destroyed in
Yeah.
there. There was one of those, I can't think of the name right now, but the flying creatures from the first Avengers movie
Oh, the
that
Chitari?
came in. The Shatari, there was
Yeah.
a fallen Shatari back there. So I'm kind of wondering if you remember in Loki where I think it was in the first season where he went into this kind of like middle world where all the other Lokis were
Yeah.
and stuff, kind of like when you get pruned, that's where like you go. So I wonder with all those different references to everything like the 20th century, this from that movie, this from that movie, if it's like all kind of a world like that of things that have been like purged
Yeah.
and got rid of because it's so random to have all those things in just one area.
Well, you know what I thought it was? Because there's been so many talks of like the Secret Wars happening as the next big event. I wondered this was Battle World. That's what I kind of
Which
thought it could be.
that reminds me of the other thing that I noticed. Did you notice the comic book
No. Was there a comic
where
book in the background or something?
it's when he gets thrown through the wall and he's like lying on the floor.
Yeah.
To his right, there's a comic book, and I like paused it. I took a screenshot, and I like increased it, trying to
Enhance,
see what it
enhance.
does. Yeah, it's like a comic, and then there's like a bottle of like some kind of drink or something. But it's the Secret Wars comic with Doctor Doom on the cover. Half of it is his face, the other half is other characters,
Okay.
and it says Secret Wars at the top. So I'm wondering, is this a hint that
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
know we know Secret Wars is coming, but it's like, is Doctor Doom coming? Like, is this telling us like, all right, you know, maybe Kang didn't work out, but we got someone else coming in the future. So, and then the very end of the trailer, it made me wish that they never announced that Wolverine was gonna be in it and Hugh Jackman was gonna be
Yeah.
in it, just because the final few seconds would have hit so hard watching it, and that was the first time we're finding out, and you'd see the shadow and
Yeah.
if you knew nothing, they're like, no, he's not gonna be in it, and that happens, like you're punching a table in that moment.
Oh,
Like
the
the
hype level would
you're
have been
like, oh,
crazy. Seriously, and I felt the same way because for a while they've been putting this as Deadpool 3. Like all the promotions have been Deadpool 3. So at the very end, seeing the silhouette of Wolverine. Well, actually, even before we get to the silhouette, earlier in the trailer, you see Deadpool at like a casino,
mhm,
and you see like a poker table, and you see a guy in a white suit and the hair, and it's like that's
yeah,
Wolverine. That's what, that one moment. And for me, like for people who read the comic books, like in the late '80s, early '90s, Wolverine was this character called Patch for a little bit. It was like his undercover James Bond character, where he was with like Mister Fix It or the Gray Hulk. And when I saw that, I was like, "Yo, that's the Patch Wolverine right there." So like for comic book people, it's like, man, how many versions of Wolverine are we gonna get in this movie that we never got to have in the Fox
oh
version of
man.
Wolverine? But yeah, and I felt the same way when you see his silhouette, Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like, oh, they changed the title of the movie. And I felt the same. It's like, man, they didn't. If they hadn't have leaked it out, that would have been so impactful.
I know that's the problem with leaks. And I mean, even if they didn't announce it, it would have still been leaked because, they made the decision to not go studio green screen, like film it
Yeah,
indoors and all of that, which is good for, protecting information. but not as good for the authenticity of the quality when it comes to the environment. So they chose to, film outside in real environments and kind of work off of that. So unfortunately, with drones and you know
Cell phones.
cameras like this that does 100 zoom,
Yeah.
uh, it's there's no way to hide it. So unfortunately, in order to get the quality and that more realistic approach, they had to risk leakers, and that's what we got it. So these are the moments where you notice the impact when it was like, oh, that would have been so much more powerful if we would not have known he was in it in that moment.
Yeah. I think honestly that all the leaks were done in studio. I don't think it was like anybody on the outside. I think they did it themselves, because I look back at like the Spider-Man movie No Way Home, right? Yeah, No Way Home. Like
Yeah.
I think they kept the Garfield and Tobey Maguire thing under wraps decently well, at least from the actor standpoint. Like the actors denied it
Yes.
so hardcore. While with this, like Hugh Jackman's like, no, I'm in the movie. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm training for the movie. So like they weren't hiding this whatsoever.
I know. I know. Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't take away for me.
I'm still
This
pumped.
is
Yeah, yeah,
this is still the most anticipated movie for me coming this year. I really hope they nail it. And I've said this before, with this being a rated R Disney movie. I mean, even though it's under a different banner that this is being filmed in, it's still Disney.
yeah, yeah,
If this does well, that will open the door, not only financially, because it's gonna do well financially because it's gonna sell big that first weekend no matter what.
yeah,
But if it has long legs when it comes to its box office performance, and if it's critically received well by fans, this can open it up for future rated R MCU movies and kind of expand what they can do, which only benefits us, the fans. So like, I really want this to be done well and do well.
yeah. I think not just for the comic book movies. I think for all the other movies that Disney has acquired, because we're
Right.
starting to see movies like Prey and Hellraiser, and now the new Aliens thing coming out. Those first two I mentioned were received pretty well by fans. They did well. They got good streaming numbers. If Aliens does well and this does well, I think they'll start to realize like, oh snap, like we should start putting more money into these other IPs that we have that are not just Marvel related or not just Disney related. Like we can start doing more mature content that people seem to like.
Yeah, and then you can still protect your Disney name by doing it under another moniker.
Yeah,
You can use your Hulu streaming service. You can release them on the 20th century since you bought it and you
right?
own it and stuff, since they're so worried about the Mickey brand.
Yeah, it's like the Touchstone days. Touchstone was a Disney brand, but it allowed them to do more mature things, more darker things. When we first got A Nightmare Before Christmas, granted, not rated R, but definitely a way darker like theme and tone than anything else Disney was doing during that time. Did it through Touchstone, became a hit, and they're like, "Oh, this is really good. Yeah, this is Disney now. This is ours."
Yeah, we're gonna pull that in here.
Yeah,
Those are some of the trailers that debuted recently for the Super Bowl. All of these they're all coming out this year.
I believe so.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so we have some stuff to look forward to. Make sure that you tune in monthly to our Stay Tuned episode, which usually will pop on in here the last day of the month or the first day of the month. And there we go over movies and TV shows that are debuting for that specific month. And some of these will probably make it through and we'll be able to get into it with more detail in the future. With that being said, thank you for joining us for this bonus episode. Let us know down below which ones are you most excited for, which ones are you not excited for and do not plan to see. I am your host for this episode, Jose. You can find me on Instagram at this is mi nombre.
and I am your other guy, George. You can follow me at Nicolopolis.
Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. All of that helps us. If you have any ideas for some of the bonus episodes you would like to see, also put down below. We are listening, and you can find us on all the social media platforms. IG, Twitter /X, whatever it is
X.
you want to call it, and wherever podcasts are streamed, such as Apple TV. TVs, Spotify, or YouTube. You can find us there. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the movies.